Hey everybody, it's Dick Vet, your friendly neighborhood veteran, and this is part 11 of the Warriors Reflection series. They warned me that it would be as though my emotions were locked up, and I would be cold in my heart and not remember the ways of caring for others. It's imperative that a warrior is able to disconnect from his emotions while surrounded by the horrors and atrocities of the war zone environment. You don't have time to mourn the dead. You can't be distracted with the disgust of a putrid environment, nor sorrow or pity for the people living in the war-torn streets. Those kind of emotions could compromise the mission. A disconnection is essential, and they train us to flip the breaker and shut off our emotions. All good warriors are blind to their own broken heart. A lot of military culture is designed to restrict emotional expression down to anger. Let's call it emotional funneling, as it doesn't matter what you're feeling, you need to funnel it into an expression of anger. Any feeling: worry, regret, confused, excited, bored, sad. Even when a leader is delighted or proud, it's expressed with some anger, or at least anger at the people who didn't do what he's proud of one soldier for doing. Anger is the feeling you're allowed to express, and you're supposed to do so in a controlled manner. There are a lot of rules about how to yell at and punish subordinates appropriately. Anger is not exactly the only emotion allowed. You can also funnel emotions through humor. The military allows a rationed amount of joking, pranks, and fun. It's only allowed in private, off time, or a little bit in a smoke pit. It is the only other emotional outlet. And you can see that it's deep emotions being funneled into a joke when you look at the level of dark, morbid, or raunchy humor that is so common in the military. A chunk of military dark humor is so bad that it's absolutely taboo in the civilian sector. We learn to only repeat those jokes or be that way around other veterans. Men in civilian sector already have a general deficiency in emotional intelligence and stability, just in comparison to women in general. The military takes this to the next level and ingrains a system of emotional funneling into anger for the most part. And then a war zone experience compounds this issue with adrenaline manipulation for living in a hostile environment. In a hostile environment, the output of adrenaline changes over time, expanding into a faster increase and a longer duration of a heightened state. This manipulation has consequence of deleting the fun, exhilaration, and joy associated with any rush. This is diagnosed as adrenaline-seeking behavior, but in reality, it actually feels like a loss of the ability to feel without extreme risk. I remember my own experience of this. I was stationed in Germany, and most weekends, my brothers and I would race on the Autobahn where there is little to no speed limit. We'd drive to some castle a couple hours away, and the race was so exhilarating that I'd be on cloud nine, just walking around some market or seeing the sights. It didn't matter. My body was all green lights. I was still reeling from that joy of that race. I deployed to Iraq and then came back to Germany for about 9 months while I transitioned out. And I couldn't wait to get back in my BMW and hit the road, and boy, was I disappointed. It didn't do anything. After a race, I was still anxious and on edge. I couldn't drive fast enough for it to have a real effect. And I pushed it, and my recklessness gradually increased until I almost got myself killed. And I remember watching that wreckage being pulled out, and I realized that was the first time I felt the same level of exhilaration that I had when I started getting into racing when I first got there, before the war. I knew something in me had broken. The belief structure involved is your relationship with empathy, which is your ability to feel emotions and recognize them for what they are, just emotional intelligence. But more importantly, empathy is also the ability to feel someone else's emotions. When you're being a good friend for someone who is grieving, say being a literal shoulder to cry on, and they are crying about their lost loved one, and you have a ball in your throat and tears well up, and you allow yourself to feel a bit of their emotion in order to be a good friend in that moment and just sit with them. That's empathy. You didn't lose a loved one. They did. They're sad and you're joining them. A warrior will not be a good friend in this manner, but will be a good comrade and have sympathy, make a joke, try to lighten the mood, grab a bottle of booze. There's still a form of connection, like let's disassociate together to get through this, which is a core piece of our brotherhood, to keep each other in the fight by encouraging the bottling of emotions and ignoring moral consequences. But that was good. Being a good soldier is not the same as being a mature veteran or even being a healthy person. This is a very deep and complicated issue. Cleansing. Reconnecting with our humanity. This is something every veteran faces when they first get out and they are immediately hit with a fake it till you make it situation. This is it's so common that it's described in the next stance of the warrior's reflection. So in the next video, I will describe the path of cleansing towards reconnecting with self and the shadow beliefs involved that we need to let go of, and how returning home is never what we thought it was going to be. Till next time, this is Stickbat, signing off.